Marcos, Texas. The knowledge and energy-based jobs that are driving growth in many American cities like San Marcos are typically higher-paying gigs taken by educated workers. As these communities grow, they're squeezing out the middle class and creating a new economic landscape. That's according to Richard Florida, the author of The Rise of the Creative Class, many other books, by the way, and the director of the Martin Prosperity Institute at the University of Toronto, and really one of the foremost experts on cities and what makes them prosperous. Richard, good to have you here.
It's great to be here, Ali.
So we heard from the mayor some really great things about San Marcos and a lot of those places around Texas. There's another side to this, and tell us about it.
Well, you know, the good news, as you said, is that our economy is recovering in metros, which, you know, produce about 90% of our GDP, are leading the way. If you're in a metro area, chances are you have a lower unemployment rate than the national average.
Right.
But what these numbers mask is the division of our economy, as you said. The middle class, old factory job is being squeezed out. We're growing high-wage knowledge jobs, and also in Houston, in Oklahoma City,
right,
the unemployment leader. Great jobs in energy, which pay well.
Right.
But at the same time, we're growing even more low-wage jobs. And our recovery up to this point has been a limited high-wage recovery and an even bigger low-wage recovery.
And when you talk to folks in Texas, not this mayor, because I didn't talk to him about this, but often you'll have Texas politicians tell you, we are the job creation leader in the country, and the fine print is they're also the low-wage job creation leader in the country.
Yeah, to some degree, high-wage jobs and low-wage jobs go together. So Austin, Texas, which is the undisputed job leader on a percentage basis, has generated a lot of high-wage jobs and a lot of low-wage jobs. Houston has generated a pretty good number of high-wage jobs in energy. They also have a lot of high-tech related energy,
right,
but lots of low-wage jobs. Dallas, San Antonio. So I think the real balanced way to look at it is we've generated high-wage jobs, more of them in those knowledge metros you talked about.
Right.
And in the energy metros, we've been doing pretty good, but also adding a lot of those low-wage jobs.
The largest year-over-year employment increases occurred in Los Angeles, Long Beach, Santa Ana, California. What's going on there?
Well, Los Angeles is a big place, right? It's the second biggest metro in the United States, and it's adding a lot of jobs. But I looked at the data today before I came on. I think it looks like about 18% of its total job growth was in high wage. About a third of it was in middle jobs, factory jobs, and decent service jobs. Nearly half of it was in low-wage jobs. So Los Angeles is back, but I think the question for all of our metros in our country, the question I keep asking, and I want to work with mayors on, and I challenge them, is we've got to develop a way in our country of turning low-wage jobs into high-wage jobs.
The latter.
And
that's the problem.
That ladder is
we're not going to eliminate all low-wage jobs. There's a real movement across the country to raise minimum wages. Many of us support that, but there is, the idea is a ladder. Can you start at a minimum wage job in college, and by the time you're 30, be earning a living wage, or 25, be earning a living wage? And that's where the problem is,
so
the mobility.
Two things here. One, we need locally indexed. Like we index to inflation,
right,
we've got to geographically index the minimum wage. Right. The minimum wage that's going to do you well in San Marcos isn't going to make you be able to eat in Los Angeles. So New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Boston need higher minimum wages. But we also need that career ladder. And
so you're arguing for minimum wages by region rather than just by state.
Geographically index them by metro region.
By metro region, okay.
But the more important thing is creating what you call that ladder effect. Right. You know, my dad worked in a factory in the 1930s. He told me he had a terrible job. He came back from World War II, Memorial Day, just last week. Came back from World War II, where he stormed the beaches at Normandy and fought in all those great battles. His factory job was turned into a great high-wage, family-supported job. Could get married, buy a house, put his two boys through college. Yeah. We can make service jobs better by engaging those workers in innovation, getting them involved in improving their jobs. There's a big study out of MIT, a great study by a professor at the Sloan School that shows if you add innovation, if you empower ground-level workers in service businesses, they add to the profits of the companies. Right. So the best retail companies are the ones that engage a worker, and we have to create those ladders.
As opposed to mind-numbing, repetitive, task-oriented jobs.
You know, it's what we did in manufacturing. We made the worker part of the solution and got them, they weren't just putting a widget on a car or screwing a nut or a bolt in. They were involved in continuous improvement, continuous quality. That's what we have to do in America. And, it's sad because our national leaders seem clueless about this.
But maybe you're right that it's not a national problem. It's a lot of local problems.
Well, one thing we're going to do this July is Scott Stringer, who's the comptroller here in New York, he and I are going to organize a summit in New York City to talk about creating pathways of opportunity in July to upgrade these service jobs and to add technology and more education to improve these paths, because we've got to build a middle class again in our country.
You do it, we'll make sure to cover it. Richard, it's so great to talk to you. Thank you so much for being with us, and always. Richard Florida is the director of the Martin Prosperity Institute at the University of Toronto and the author of The Rise of the Creative Class and many other great books. High drama on the high seas, with America on the verge of getting sucked into a bitter territorial battle involving China. I'm breaking down what's at stake in the South China Sea coming up. Plus, protecting yourself from internet hackers. I'm talking to a guy who says his password system is unbeatable. That story and more as Real Money continues. Keep it right here.